If you think you're lonely
Action.
now.
So we should be good now. So and it plays from there. So I think I got that figured out. We'll be good moving forward. But welcome everybody.
This video is live now. There we go.
The 11th episode now.
We made it, bro. That's what we thought. We did more than we ever imagined we were capable of doing. We set our minds to it, and when things got tough, we got going, and now we're here.
Right out the park.
Right out the effing park.
Yeah.
And we've got a beautiful young man sitting behind the ones and twos over there, pouring up IPAs, British IPAs.
Yeah, I'm
He's got some imports. He's our resident hipster beer drinker. Yeah. So he'll be
every guest has to have a gimmick.
Yeah. And what's yours?
I'm the hips. I'm going.
You're going full hipster.
Nice. Well, welcome, man. Welcome.
This is our producer. For those of you guys who don't know,
yeah,
this is the guy who's always talking smack, making fun of us, distracting us.
We've got multiple requests to have.
Not setting up the studio.
I mean, multiple people asked.
Not doing a single thing you think a producer would do.
Wow.
Well, here,
but he'll hand you beers.
Give me a sip of that.
No, I'll get you.
I'm not going to drink my own.
Well, just pour in a sip of your. Yeah, do that. But welcome, man. Did you want to start with anything? How you feeling? Just how you been? It's been. We actually had a show after the holidays. So you want to sing a song? You were singing a good song when I walked in today, and you had some details about the song. So talk to us.
Well, I was going to do a different one than that.
All right. Well, yeah. Go ahead. What you got?
But I don't remember the word. You start. How about that?
I start. Well, yeah. Let's welcome our guest then. So yeah, our producer Ryan. Our guy, he's always behind the scenes. He's holding down the comment section, like always, handing us beers and drinks and things and waters. You know, maybe we need to start drinking.
Keeping us laughing, keeping us going.
Yeah, absolutely. He plays the video in the background that it's not like really
he doesn't turn the
in
audio
the right
down.
spot, and it's pretty annoying, but he'll figure that out. But yeah, welcome, man. How do you feel? Do you want an intro as well? Should we do an intro for you, like a really good
intro? I think we need like a song intro if I'm gonna get an intro. It needs to be like,
all right.
You want a song intro?
Name song,
all right.
Like
Ryan. Ryan's a man.
Hey, like Stone Cold.
Oh yeah, you need that. Oh my God, that's Ryan's music. And then you come in. Those are always the best. You just know, you hear that. Oh my God, that's Stone Cold's music.
Like this.
I just love that.
Dang, bro. How's my hair looking right now?
Here you go. Your
long, man.
Your taster.
Long.
Is this full dread in the back?
Yeah, let's get in there for sure.
How's my beard looking? Nappy? My dad said he's going to start calling me a sheik or a
You ever seen Beloved?
No.
Have you ever seen that? But yeah, man, topics. I'm going to bring out some notes. Sorry. I'm trying to do better. I'm not being on my phone when I talk to people too, but I need this for notes. So I explained this to Julian when I got here. I didn't write down topics. I actually kind of been writing down, which I guess technically are topics, but writing down random things I think of throughout the day to talk about on the show because they always just sound like they would be funny to discuss. So I wrote down one that I did today, which I do all the time. How do you feel about these things? Correcting yourself after sending a text right away just because you don't proofread before hitting send, but you'll proofread immediately after. Do you do that?
I do it all the time.
And how do you feel? Like, if you're like me, you probably do it a good amount of times and you send, and I know I text you, and you'll actually send the correct fix, right? So, and do it right. I know I do it right after.
So yeah, there's the proofreading one like that. I think it's necessary if the typo could be read two ways.
Yeah. Or I do it if you can't use context clues. Like, right. I'm going to use context clues.
Exactly.
Or if you can make a joke.
We're not writing a novel like, oh, let me go through and
but it's just weird that but it seems weird, though, that you'll do it immediately after hitting send. Why not just do it right before send? And just reread it before you hit send. I do it all the time. And I why I even thought to write this down is it kind of like flooded into work where I was like, what am I doing? Take your time. What are you doing? So yeah, it just made me laugh.
I think the weirder thing that has become completely normal for me in texting, which I used to hate, is the one text, one thought. Like, da 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 da, send.
Yeah.
Da 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 da, send. Da 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 da, send. So like,
not like pair spacing out.
It's not like a long text. It's a series of, every time I could have probably just used a comma, but it's like, no, this is a different thought. Like, I want you to stop. Thank you. Look at that.
I used to do mine
Foamy
with dots.
heads.
I used to do mine with dots all the time. Not just 3 though, like that, like probably 4 on average. Dot 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 dot. And that's how I would separate thoughts. I have went back recently to breaking them down by the spaces, but I think before a lot of times they didn't have where you could press enter.
For a long time, I didn't have that.
So that might be part of it. You just kind of got used to it, but I know what you're saying. It's because it makes it harder to respond to people sometimes. When you get 5 messages, you're just like, all right, well, sounds like I'm out of this conversation.
But it's like, I know it discourages people from responding, but it feels like it's the clearest way for me to get everything to you, though.
So then you can separate the thoughts. You know?
Sorry, I'm just posting this to my personal page, so give me 12 seconds.
Oh, excuse me.
We're live, looking at chatting with you guys. With you guys. Boom, I'll keep it short and sweet. But, but the texting one, I catch that because, like, my fingers are just going, and I send it, and then I look at it, and it's usually the most common one's probably like, it's an I instead of an A somehow. And I'm like, they'll know that. But then other ones, it'll be like a weird autocorrect.
What if it turns it
something.
into an innuendo? Do you then like, oh, I gotta fix that?
No, then I just play it up. I lean into it.
You throw a winky face follow up. Splash emoji, peach, eggplant.
I thought this show was PG.
No, actually, when I put it on YouTube, I put not for kids. So
that was smart. But yeah, that is a random thought to discuss.
Yeah.
Texting it's such a strange, so now obviously it's normal. When do you think we started texting? 12, 13? Earlier, if you could get your brother's phone.
Yeah, 8th grade. It was legit 8th grade.
I think we pretty much, I got my first one.
And even then, I wasn't texting. I was playing Snake 2. The only thing I was texting was my Snake 2 score to all my homies.
But then, so 15, 17 years later, here we are. You talk to everybody that way. And I don't know, it's just funny because, like, you can text with someone for a long time, and you may not know anything about them, or that someone can be very good at texting and have a dry personality. Or, like,
oh man,
you can make jokes on text. You can Google something real quick, like, what was that thing I was thinking of? You can reference all this. You just have the world that you're like a god in text world.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know. I have been kind of thinking about that, like talking to people and stuff. And like, I wonder what they think of me before they meet me. Because I think I'm being consistent, but the texting me obviously is probably way smarter. It seems more witty. It seems, I just have so much more time to think of something. I don't know. My text persona has been on my mind a little bit.
How often are you texting without meeting someone? Like, are you getting hooked up with blind dates, like through, and not even making it a date thing, even friendships, right? Like where you didn't meet them as a person first. Because usually that's how you exchange numbers, right? But you may have some...
Or maybe you meet someone and then you're texting them, but you don't know them.
Oh, yeah. So now you're getting... You're like, let's see if this person was worth it.
And it's just like trying to read, like, we're in person, like, oh, this is good, this is bad. Like you can real quick adjust, but in text, it's like one wrong thing. It's just such a slippery slope of like, kind of on eggshells, but then you kind of get loose with it, and then you second think like, that was retarded. Like, what? I'm so stupid.
And then you just have to wait, and you never know what they're doing.
You never know.
They just got to their mani-pedi appointment, and you just like...
I thought you were about to say they just got to their man's house. They can't text you for a while.
That could be the thing.
Most likely, that's it.
And that's probably more accurate than the mani-pedi. especially perfect segue going on with all these shutdowns and whatnot. So you're actually on the show, which I thought I was going to get to talk about you, not like behind the scenes, but you're on the show. Shutdowns. How do you feel about the shutdown, the newest shutdown?
Don't even get me started.
Get started.
Yeah, I'm getting
I'm
started.
sick of these damn shutdowns. Okay? Because here's why.
You don't care about people's health?
That's not true. I just feel like, I mean, I don't know if anybody cares what I feel.
No, but that's why we're asking.
Yeah, that's
Just
why we're
go
asking.
off, bro.
But
Yeah, people
I
watch
just
our
think
show all the
that, you know, like, in order to get over this thing, we have to just, like, the people that are going to get it, we're going to, like, every time a virus comes, like, I feel like we're doing the best we can right now, at least personally in Atonement, you know, like, everywhere I go, people have masks, and we're skyrocketing right now, whereas, like, a couple months ago, we were doing better, you know. It's just like, well, what's going on? Like, something's not adding up here. And it just feels like to do another shutdown, like, that first shutdown caused way more damage than people even realized. We're going to be recouping that for years. And it's like another one is just...
I think what people don't talk about, especially with COVID, I was thinking about this a lot the other day, is like, what's the number we're willing to accept? I don't think people have talked about that. We're going to have to accept a number.
Of course.
Like, this is going to be like the flu. Like, this isn't yellow fever. This isn't one of these things that's going to be cured. These are going to be, potentially, from the things I've read so far, is it sounds like it's going to be a seasonal type thing. It will keep coming. It will keep having new strains. Obviously, COVID, if you saw any of the Lysol cans, is already a thing, has been a thing. SARS too. And I think that's not being talked about enough. If we accept 60,000 flu deaths, do we accept 60,000 more COVID deaths a year, right? Like, are we okay with 120 deaths coming from essentially flu season? I think we do, but I don't think it's being talked about. I think people genuinely feel like the number should be zero, and it's never going to be zero. And no one's talking about that.
That's good.
I think that's something that should be talked about more, is like, what number are we going to accept, right? Like, I need to look up this phrase because I keep forgetting it when, in terms of vaccines and car accidents, it's the government views these as like necessary risks, basically. Like, we know millions of people will die from these things, but millions of people will be saved because of these things. So we're okay with them. I think just having the conversation is going to make it easier, because if you're even if you're a like super pro Biden guy, are you going to be okay with Biden saying okay to 75, 80,000 deaths a year when potentially that's what it's going to be, and that's going to be it moving forward? I don't think people are that ready for that, which is understandable in a way, but when you really look at the reality of what people are dying from on average per year, is there's so many things you just wouldn't even get. I think it's something crazy like pianos fall on people year, like a crazy number a year.
Yeah. Falling off a ladder.
I think, yeah. I think that's
all the problem. Piano.
I feel like that's the one I read, that more people die falling off a ladder than getting bit by a shark.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's why it came
Bro,
to mind.
people be falling ladders.
But the shutdown. Here's the thing. The only even logical reason is that they're really about to push this vaccine on us. Because otherwise, I mean, mind you, they don't need a logical reason. They didn't have a logical reason the past 9 months. It's originally it was remember that flatten the curve, put up these tent cities, so turn Arco Arena into an emergency. It's going to be, you know how many people were at Arco Arena? Have you seen? 9 people. They spent like $12 million converting it into a hospital. 9 people. My point, like, they went all off this and that. At the time, we didn't know anything. So it's fair play. You know, they wanted to protect lives or protect their jobs, more likely. They didn't know. That's fair. Now we pretty much know, right? It's been beat to death. We know who's at risk. We know what the story is. Shutting everything down has such more widespread effects. Like, we all piss and moan, middle class, richer get richer. You know, when Papa's Pizza up the street shuts down because they can't stay open anymore, Domino's is still open. How is that? So family-owned business gone. the same amount of people are going to eat pizza. So now Domino's gets that money, or Pizza Hut, insert fast food chain here. So it's like, it's just going to further consolidate. Why is Target hiring? Walmart's hiring. Amazon's hiring. Why are all of these businesses are murdering it? All the little guys are disappearing.
Yeah.
So what's the in the name of what? Like you said, maybe I don't know. You asked a good question. Like, is it 500,000? But it's not. It's not their job to give us everlasting life. It's not like, and this isn't the first time this has happened. This is not the first, pandemic that's ever happened. This is not so I don't know why, another good question, like, why are people so terrified of what's seemingly not that big of a deal? 250,000 people is a lot. Don't get me wrong, but like, every day someone compares it to the Spanish flu. Like 20 million.
It was
like
a third of the population.
They were scared.
Like
literally.
people were scared.
Well, this is so I will argue one thing, and this is one thing that I see all the time, is exactly what you said. It's not, think how much you've been irritated about the shutdowns for 9 months, right? We've overdone it for 9 months, and we hit 250, right?
I feel like we've been overdoing it.
Right? And we hit 250. Imagine if we didn't overdo it, what that number would be, right? And especially when I think Gavin's new thing, which I've said on many of these episodes, I'm not a Gavin fan. The new thing, though, and these new, like, go into a, like, real shutdown, not this, like, go back to purple thing he recently did, but go into this, like, real shutdown for 3 weeks or whatever it is that ICUs have to get down to only 15% capacity left. And if they get down to 15% capacity left, then that county goes into, which I think that makes sense. If you base it on something, it makes sense. When you're just doing it because numbers are going up and you're shutting down a county who had no numbers, it's going to get weird. I think I don't know. I just think we need to, like, accept this is now, but some dude ate a bat or whatever your belief in the conspiracy is. And this is just the life we're living in now.
But bro, like, did the first shutdown work?
No. It ruined people's lives.
It obviously didn't work. It got worse afterwards.
Or did it though? Or did it hold it from not going bonkers? Right? Like, and that's what I remember reading, that when they first did the shutdown, it was like, if the shutdown holds it to where it's not that bad, people are going to say it was unnecessary. Yes, please. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're saying 250 isn't bad, but for 9 months, right, you've complained about what they've done. So if we've shut down and made people wear masks and it's still getting to 250, you're saying it still got to 250, so we shouldn't have done anything.
No, short of a vaccine, this virus is going to run its course.
Yeah.
So shutting things down makes no difference. Let's just, like, if it swept through our 350 million people and leaves a million dead, whether we stretch that over 10 years, it doesn't make a difference until it runs its course.
You don't think it makes a difference? Because if you stretch it over 10 years, you're only losing that amount of number. If you don't stretch it, you're going to lose that amount of number every year.
No,
right?
Because you can't get it twice.
Is that factual? I don't know if that's factual. No, and that might be. I know they're talking about herd immunity, but I felt like this was more a flu type thing where you could keep getting.
Well, you can't.
Different,
you can't get COVID-19
SARS too.
Again.
Okay, but you can get a different one.
You can get COVID-20.
Yeah,
or whatever a new
we'll
strain.
See if a new COVID.
Okay,
comes
gotcha.
around.
Okay.
But my point is, that what we're talking about is it's going to run its course. It's going to do its thing. It doesn't seem to be that. I mean, not just in gross numbers, but in percentage wise, we've seen the numbers: 99.6%. People survive, whatever. Like, we can cause immense, potentially unrepairable economic damage. Papa's Pizza's never come, their supplier's not going to sell them stuff anymore. They're employed, etc.
Yeah.
Times it across the whole world. Or we can just take our lumps, maybe slow it down enough to where the system doesn't get overloaded. That's a good idea,
Yeah.
Man,
there's no proof that you can't get COVID twice.
They had to have done something to someone to see if they would get it a second time.
It's saying that like it's mixed. Some people are, and then some saying they don't.
Well,
know.
I mean, then there's the
So now
testing issue that you can. It doesn't even matter.
They don't know what they're doing.
I'm assuming since it's a virus, you can't get it twice. You can't, right? You beat it once. You can't. You don't get the same flu twice. You don't get the same.
Well, and that's why I'm wondering: is
you
it
can
gonna?
never. We've known it's
Different flus. But people get the flu every single year. Is it legit next strain every time? Like I know people who are sick every single flu season.
5.0. I don't know.
No, I do know that's the case though.
But
that's why
the flu is a generic. There's influenza A and B, which nobody gets.
H1N1 was a flu.
Then there's the flu, which is like a bad virus that people.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look up how many viruses go. I would imagine hundreds of viruses are out at any given time.
So when they say people died from the flu, it's all different types.
Yeah, like people say you had the flu. Like what? You were coughing up blood? Like no, I had diarrhea. Like that's not the flu. You know, like
I just thought
that's
the
norovirus.
Flu, yeah, I just thought flu affected people differently. I didn't know. This is genuine.
No, like when you get the diarrhea for 24 hours, that's not the flu.
Jesus Christ.
That you probably ate something bad, or
that's called norovirus.
Oh yeah.
There's more than a quadrillion individual viruses on Earth.
So
what about flu?
Quadrillion?
Quadrillion, yeah.
I believe it. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I would like to know human flu. Human flu viruses.
But
speaking of which, I was watching a show the other day. It might have been The Good Place, which is a really good show.
Yeah, I like it.
And he said the Asian dude on that show was like, yeah, I got a virus named after me in Florida because I kissed a bat. And I was crying, dude. I was like, oh, this dude did it. He did it. COVID. It's on him. He kissed that damn bat in Florida. I knew it. But yeah, man. No, this is how I've felt about it for a long time. I mean, I'm not someone who, has the risk very often. Most people, if they get sick, they could be sick around me and I don't get sick. So I'm not like really someone at risk. I don't really have a lot of people in my family even who are high at risk. So I don't hold as much weight to it. So I've felt for a long time, just like, I mean, at some point though, we're going to have to accept deaths, whatever that may be.
Well, that's the real thing.
Not only that, accepting, like, dude, all these professionals told us at minimum 18 months for a vaccine. And they're going to get a vaccine done, right? Like, that's what I'm almost waiting for, too, is like, what are the consequences of this vaccine going to be?
I would rather get COVID than get the COVID vaccine.
We shut down, 100%. Right now, with my health, I agree with that, for sure. And that's not to be insensitive to anyone who has it or who has had it. Alan, I know, was on here one time talking about all his stuff going on. Like, trust me, I get what you're saying. But what I know about vaccines and how little they already safety test because they don't have to, I'm just not. I'm just not really a vaccine as an adult guy. Personally, I just don't feel I've been super healthy for my entire life. So anything that could compromise my immune system, I'm not really for it. That breathing book, I'm gonna just give you that breathing book to read. Great. Fantastic book. I didn't even write enough notes down because I would have took notes on the whole book. It was really good. It was kind of cool. Like seeing how you could restart your immune system and things like that. I had a good time.
I'm gonna have to read it. I can tell you're passionate about it.
Yeah, it's still number 2. The number 1 book I read was by Kelly McGonigal, The Strength of Willpower or something of Willpower.
I'll love you forever if you go grab some kind of juice out of my fridge.
You need some?
What the hell do you think this is? This is a Denny's.
Please. There's anything in there that would, for some reason, it's not hidden. I just need a drop of something.
Not hidden. But yeah, let's move on from that. I actually have.
What's the difference between the brute and
I just
extra
say brute.
dry?
I don't know if it's brute, but I say brute.
Brute.
Just because it has those 2 dots, right? Would that be brute? Brute and dry. I don't know the difference. I thought you would know if anybody.
I think brute must be sweeter because this does not taste good to me.
All right, what other stuff did I have? Oh man, so I watched I guess it's a podcast with I was saying this, like one of the first politicians I'm getting into right now is Andrew Yang. I like the way he speaks. Just kind of that. He's like the anti-Trump to me. He's like not a politician, so you love that. But he's like the opposite. He's like very well spoken, very smart dude. And you, even if you don't agree with his policies and things like that, you at least love like the way he speaks.
I like him.
Which is super cool. So I've been on yangspeaks.com or even watching his Yang Speaks YouTube videos. I like watching podcasts weirdly. I'm weird that way. Maybe that's why we like doing these videos. But he talked to Alexis Ohanian, I think his last name is. He's the like one of the founders of Reddit. Also married to Serena Williams, which I knew both those things, but not when I was watching the video. And then he started talking about Serena. They have a baby together and everything. Super smart dude, though, man. Super smart guy.
What's he look like?
He has long hair, just like kind of like tech hipster type, which he's not. I guess he even says that in the pod about not really having connections in Silicon because he's just never been someone who is all about money. He's more about doing it for the right reasons. He's super into the future. But so one of the things, he's for two companies. I'll talk about one first. I might have mentioned on the show or at least to you before. The first one was Papa. So it's Papa is grandkids on demand. So you can be a Papa Pal. You don't need to have like medical experience.
I'm not following you at all.
So grandkids on demand for old people, you can sign up and get paid to be basically go help old people. Just set up their Netflix, do things that like not medical related stuff, just like normal stuff. Which but for a lot of people, so in this, I thought this number was crazy. 10,000 boomers retire every day.
Damn.
10,000 a day. There's definitely not enough medical workers for that. And not all the stuff they need are medical related stuff. I thought that was cool. But more they got into, which I thought was interesting and maybe you and I should talk about is, and what we've talked about before is, what jobs come when everything get automated, right? And that's what they talked about here was we're going to need, empathetic jobs. You need jobs where only people could do them. Right? If you're into simulation theory, one of the things that they say about AI is they're not empathetic. They can't be, they don't have a conscience. They don't know how to do those things. Elon Musk thinks that will happen. Most people don't believe it'll ever happen. And if it does, it'll go into like post-humans, which if you're into simulation is the next step after humans. But I thought that was interesting. I do think, when we get into, automation, we're going to need those jobs. We're going to need jobs only humans could do, and they're going to have to make up almost whole new sectors. And I thought that was kind of interesting, just looking into just going over to an old person's house to help them set something up or whatever it may be. And he even said he's an investor in the company, and he said most of the people are going to school for medical related stuff. They just need money on the side instead of working at the mom and pop pizza place. They're working at they're a Papa Pal, which I thought was interesting. How do you feel about that? I know I kind of.
That was a lot. I like Yang. I think he's interesting. I think his idea is interesting and almost logical, even though you would think, since I'm a capitalist, that I wouldn't be for it. It kind of circles back to what we used to talk about at Liberty with, eventually there's just not going to be enough jobs for everyone.
Remember when we pulled out that big board and went over how we would.
Yeah, I want to do that on here one day. Because I think it needs to be discussed. People should be prepared for when that day comes. When AI and automation does come, what are we going to do with all the people who don't need to work? What will money mean? What does money mean now? No, these are not things we ever talk about.
Yeah.
So Yang has an interesting idea. For those of you who don't know, universal basic income, he didn't invent it, but
he brought it to the forefront.
Yeah. $1,200 a month for every citizen, paid for by who? Whoever owns the AI. Is that the? I don't think he ever gets super specific, but anyway, enough to pay your rent pretty much. And as far as the Papas thing, that just seems weird to me, honestly, personally. I think it's weird because like Americans just don't really care about our old people that much.
Well, and that's what it's about. That's what it's designed to do. And that's what, so initially I think it was 80% like in person, 20% virtual. Obviously COVID hit and so it flipped that. And so some of it's just that, man. And so this is what I want to research, and I'm gonna give you homework for once. Research the lonely pandemic or epidemic, the loneliness epidemic. So that's the thing they talked about. I wanted to research more of, just common sense wise. That seems to make sense. Just going along with where we are, especially with COVID now, like genuinely just being by yourself. Most people don't like themselves. I think is an issue. Older people, like you said, there's more. Our population is getting older and older by the day. So, yeah, I would be interested in looking into that. That's a huge thing. They didn't really delve into it, but they did talk about it, and so I'd be interested in reading more about that.
You're over there giggling. Tell me what.
You're chasing champagne.
You said what?
You're chasing champagne.
It's a
No,
mimosa.
you made a juice drink. It's good.
No, yeah, you made a mimosa.
A
They
juice.
don't go to brunch, so it's okay.
Whatever.
Right.
You be in
guys
brunch.
are unsophisticated.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
They don't mess with them bottomless mimosas. Have you going stumbling home after church? You know? So they don't know. You don't have to take this. Come on. You're a host of this show.
I don't know. My name's on the wall.
Yeah.
No, they more.
I'm the Jules of Jules and Rich. I don't know if you know this.
But yeah, I mean, go through.
But back to Papa, you're just like, nah, that's weird.
Well, I just don't like the idea. Well, one.
Well, that's because you love your grandparents. You know they always got something. But what if they don't? You know what I'm saying? Like for them to have someone, I don't know. I'm just.
But it's not. It's transactional by definition. It doesn't mean like. Are these kids coming to Thanksgiving? Like, they're paying some young person to come
to help out,
help them. Like,
yeah, and then you'll be their friend.
It doesn't mean anything.
Neither do the nurses that do at-home care, but they still have bonds and get along. You don't think these kids can
Once
get
they
along?
stop paying them, they'd never see him again.
Who hurt you?
I know. Who hurt you?
I'm
Everything's
just being
not
realistic, bro.
monetarily.
It is.
Well, it's only been a thing for like 3 years, so they probably don't have enough. But that is a thing that happens too. Is that I guess like medical will pay for that type of stuff.
Yeah,
medical shouldn't pay for that.
I think I'm definitely more interested in Yang than I am in freaking
Alexis.
grandkids for adoption. That idea just rubs me wrong. What do you think, RG?
I think you're
just a pessimist.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't like old people though.
I mean,
I remember how you took advantage
my
of old people.
grandparents are fun.
Joke. That's a joke, by the way.
I'm not saying I don't care about them. It's just a weird, like,
you don't like the.
It's just another idea. Like it seems contrived. One, like, how do we get more money out of old? Like,
just say it.
It doesn't
glorified prostitution.
It's pretty much prostitution. I was going to bring that up. Like,
no, it's not. I know
like,
you're.
I'm old. I'm lonely. I'll pay for a prostitute. Like, well, Grandpa, like, it's fake.
What?
It's a fake.
But if it works, then why are you mad about it? Right?
Does it work to solve what problem? Their Netflix gets set up?
Their loneliness.
Yeah, their loneliness. And if loneliness, which your homework is to do, is an epidemic, then
Does prostitution cure loneliness?
Maybe.
Probably.
For some people.
I doubt it.
You don't think so?
I truly doubt it.
How did you get this show?
Really?
Would
I would assume it would help.
Yeah.
Unless you genuinely go bankrupt, then no, it doesn't help. But if you have the money,
when you know in your heart that someone,
it
would be like, imagine if
so
all
you're
of
okay.
your friends,
So you're okay taking girls on expensive dates, but a guy who gets a cheaper date.
No, so you're twisting what I'm saying.
Oh, so you're not adding the dates that people go on.
I'm not condemning prostitution.
It's just companionship.
Then that's fine, but it's false. If you made a lot of money and me and him were your friends, as long as you kept us on payroll, but then you stopped paying us and we left, how would you feel?
But if there's never a stop, does it matter? I'll answer your question, but answer mine. So, yes, I would feel some type of way if it stopped. If it never stopped, does it matter?
Oh God, these
if there's no
example,
example,
no, I think you would know. I think if I fell in love with this stripper, she only gave me attention as I gave her money, it doesn't matter if I have limitless money. I know she's here for my money.
Yeah, but you said it that way. If you give her money and she continues to strip for you, then you're not going to care. The companionship is there, right? Like you gave the friend example. Is it they're only friends as you hand them money? It's a different story for sure. But if you pay them to be your friend and they do the act. Doesn't matter. I
think
know.
you're arguing and you know that what you're saying doesn't make any sense.
I mean, not when it's a successful business.
Is it?
Yeah. It
Look
has
it
been
up.
so far.
I don't. There's a lot of successful businesses that I don't believe in.
Yeah.
This
Like
is
what?
one. I'm just saying, like, it seems like extortion of old people, exploitation of old.
But if
like,
they're not paying out of their pocket, is it exploitation of old
It's
people?
limitless.
it depends. All right. So what problem are we trying to solve? That they can't
Loneliness.
get their computer set up?
Loneliness. I mean, yeah, and that. You just don't feel like old people should have people to rely on because all the old people in your life have people
Put
to
more
rely
in
on.
there than that before I tip that whole table over. No. What I'm saying is, if I was old and alone and my kids didn't talk to me, bro, I swear to
Bro,
God.
there's color in there. Drink it.
No. Let's don't do that. No, I'm not even going to go do that on here. Go ahead. Sorry.
If my kids don't talk to me anymore, my grandkids won't come help me with my Netflix. So I use my health insurance to have some other kid come over. And, he fixes me lunch or whatever.
And goes grabs your groceries for you. He does all this stuff. So you're not okay with
he
that.
makes my life. That's great.
You who drives around
that's
old
not
people,
what I'm talking about.
You've been to Winco at a self-checkout when all old people were trying to use
and
a
I
self-checkout.
literally almost slit my own throat.
Would you rather some rando kids
But that's
doing
not
it
what
for
we're
them?
talking about. We're talking about the connection, and is it contrived? Is it real?
We're also talking about you don't agree with this initiative. Would you at least agree with it for them to do tasks, which they are doing for old
Yes,
people?
well, I get that part.
They're
Old
not just
people
signing up
can't
to
do
listen
it.
to old people's stories.
Well, you brought it up as in like curing loneliness, and that's
Which it
my
could
point.
also do.
Turn the volume down to your mic.
Oh,
Which it
sorry.
also could do.
I don't even care. Let's talk about some ghost stories.
Oh, we're about there. Oh man, I wish I could look at our. I may have to go on my phone.
Can you
on
pull
our
up your
thing.
email on here and email it to yourself?
Well, I would have to go to the messages on this, which I don't know if I would be able to do. But we at least know a couple. So let's talk about that. So we've been owing Michaela for multiple weeks now to talk about her ghost stories. And Ryan and I read them at the end of last show. And it was funny because he kind of went into it like, oh, these are going to be good. And then read them. And by not even the end, probably middle way through, was just flabbergasted. I'm going to use that word here. So Julie and I wanted to talk about at least a couple of stories. So,
Bro, why is everybody roasting me in these comments? I'm about to spaz.
yeah. So I'll start talking. So Michaela, we had talked about ghost stories. If you had any type of, or she mentioned that she had some connections before and why she doesn't mess with paranormal activity movies when we talked about horror films. So she sent us a list. I read them initially and didn't respond to all of them because I kind of was like, oh, wow. Then Julian read them. And then now RG and I have read them too. And so they were pretty intense. We're not going to get into all of them, but like they were.
So you want to talk about your
Yeah, I'll talk about
biggest
mine
one?
and then you can talk about yours, which I know
So
they're
then
different.
what's our approach going to be? Are we going to
Say what
we think happened? Are we going to try and solve this issue? Or are we going to...
Oh, I will just start by I believe in ghosts, so I'm not even going to try to solve it.
And if you're watching this and you have a ghost story, throw it in the comments or, participate in the conversation.
So I could read it. Don't.
Yeah, got you. All right, so I'll go first with mine.
Let's start with this. Do you believe in ghosts? Before we even jump into it, and what do you think a ghost can do?
Yeah, I do. I don't know, man. I'm a hater, I guess, a little bit. Like, I do, but I'm one of those, like, I feel, and this goes to we all think we're the main character in this story of life. Like, why aren't ghosts talking to you more? And I don't really want evil ghosts, I want the good ghosts, but still, I don't. So I do with I don't have experiences with them, which kind of more makes me more sad than disbelief. I used to be like that. I don't believe them because trust me, if ghosts were real, they would be messing with me, but I'm over that. I feel like there's enough stories out there that seem legit that I can, from people that I trust. Obviously, I've learned through celebrities and people I know who become celebrities, that celebrity and holding credibility to what people say based on that is BS. So I'll say yes. I'll just answer your question there. Yes. Do you believe in ghosts?
I think I believe in ghosts. I think I believe that certain people probably are more sensitive to certain things, right? I mean, they say 95% of the energy and matter, there's dark energy, dark matter, is unseeable, unmeasurable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can only even notice it's there, allegedly,
96%,
because,
right?
because complex math equations say that there's not enough stuff here for our rules to work.
But also, if you were to measure dark matter, it wouldn't work because you would measure it in a matter world.
That's not. We'll talk about that.
That's
next
a different
week.
set. So yeah,
that's a
ghosts,
simulation
and we'll
theory topic. But I do think there's people who are probably more sensitive. Maybe they have access to, like, you know how they say we can see, like, this is the wavelength of light eyes can perceive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe there's a wavelength of energies or a wavelength of energy experience, something like that. And some kind of like dogs can see infrared light. So I'm rambling, but to try and paint the picture. So it doesn't seem outlandish when I explain it that way that some people could have access to that.
It sounds like Michaela does.
Michaela's had enough experiences. So, and we will get to them in a second, but like I just to piggyback on what you said, I haven't had any.
Yeah.
I know other people who have. But I definitely believe there are supernatural forces in our world. Mm. So just to answer your question.
Yes.
Gotcha.
You believe the same thing?
Well, I was answering yes for you because you took forever.
Sorry. Well, I wanted to let people know I'm not just making it up off the fly. Like it makes logical and scientific sense that there's all of these different aspects of life, and this would just be another one that maybe humans, most of us, don't know.
Did you just flick a booger?
No, lint.
A lint booger.
It's lint, guys.
So I'll go first. So she's in us multiple stories. I think the story that interested me personally the most was the one where her brother was going through a metal phase. This was after her mom had passed too. So
does she care if we tell these stories?
Oh yeah, hopefully she doesn't care. Well, she said she wanted to hear us talk about them. So that's why we're even talking about it, because Michaela, and she said like yes, I think in all capitals when we first talked about that. Okay. Confirm that Michaela was happy.
Yeah, let me ramble for another second. If you want us to talk about
let me send her a consent form real quick. One.
Oh yeah, no, she said yes. Okay, so yeah, and so she thought because her brother was going through a metal phase at
metal
one time,
metal
music, not like hitting the wall with metal
he wasn't
bats and metal pipes. Metal music phase, and so like things would get knocked off her bookcase all the time from him listening to music, and so she thought it was just that, even though it didn't seem that music was on at the time. And before she could even like pick that book up, like more stuff flew off in front of her like that. And she did a good job of, and I kind of should have let you go first because she did a good job of listing them almost in order of craziness. But that to me, when you see it, this isn't some stuff happens and you're like, oh, what just happened? That one to me, I think was like, okay.
Dude.
Like, I mean, you watched it happen, and I think that's what it was, is like a few incidents have happened before that one had happened, so it made it where it was like, yeah, okay. I mean, she has like going on a cave tour and seeing a dude walk into the cave saying, who's that? And people being like, then feeling a chill and seeing the dude walk in the opposite way.
Said she felt something hit her or something like that.
And then she turned and the dude was just walking back the other way. Like he was close. All right, so going to yours. Me.
I mean, I want to kind of dwell on like, so what are our options here? What is this?
She has a sibling who played a prank, and he yanked the book with a string.
I mean, I haven't seen her brother in probably like 15, 20 years, but he was a mischievous child back when I knew him. But that would be an in-depth prank, and I'm assuming he would have owned up to it by now. What is it called when a ghost, like in all movies, like they can never interact with stuff, but then suddenly they can? There's a name for it.
Poltergeist.
Is that it?
Yeah.
So
do the glasses lie?
there's another option. It was like,
do hipsters know about poltergeists?
apparently
We are.
They're like super into ghosts.
he was raised by Catholics. I think they're deep.
He's been
into
to all the houses, you know. That.
There's a lot of personal information out. Yeah.
Sorry. It's hard for me to, because like I said, I've never experienced it. So
Not one.
that just
You don't have
seems
any
crazy.
comparison. Yeah. And that's what, to me, when I hear these things, like, man,
Like I want
that's
maybe
why I
to leave
love,
the comment.
dude,
Like,
I
what
love
do you
mom.
think? What's the next thought? Like, do you just go back to
She said
regular
she didn't
life?
sleep for a week. I mean, because
You
that's,
don't know what
to me,
to do.
have you ever watched,
That's what I mean. Like,
have you
those
watched
are the
those
questions you
Marlon
need to know.
Wayans haunted house movies?
Yes. That's
Well,
just
like the
hilarious.
first one.
Because he hits it on the head where it's just like, I'm out. Like, bring the moving truck back.
That's what I mean. So what? That's what we didn't get into, like in our conversation. Was like, so what's next? All your stuff flies off the window or off the shelf. What's next? Like,
Everything on the shelf, gone. Shelf, gone. Me, gone. I'm out of there. Like, I don't. Well,
like
and so
you're
I think
picking up the books. Like,
Well,
I
I
mean-
don't pick the books up. You just look at them.
you don't just leave them on the
just
floor.
looking
It's
around.
like,
You don't go like,
I guess I ought to pick this up. I don't know.
Must
Do
have
you-
been a breeze.
do you go on a crazy theory about what the book is, what page it landed on? Now you're on this random like YouTube
Well, I would just
quest.
be curious. Like, what would if it happened to me? I'd be like immediately like, what's the logical explanation for this?
Really?
Then it would be. That's what I don't know.
Do you even go to you're like, is there a window open in here? Like, that definitely couldn't make that happen. Like, did I turn a fan? I don't even have a fan on in here.
When has the wind ever knocked over a book?
I don't. My
Exactly.
point is like that's where I would start. But then, like you said, it's what's the next? Do you move? Like,
You can't move. Sometimes they fall.
But what if that's my
but
dream
she's
is that
had
it's
experience
nice.
in many places.
Exactly.
Well, and so her stories, they never really showed a like where they mean either. Because that's, I guess, from movies at least. And I don't know this from,
Were they mean?
yeah, like,
Like
are
were the ghosts mean?
yeah, like, are they doing negative things to you? You just,
Or were they just trying to contact you?
exactly, yeah. So I think that would be part of it.
never talk to the ghosts.
Just never look at me. So, she had a couple Ouija stories too. This is probably what let these ghosts in.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Ryan said that he was like, rule number one, you never Ouija.
With the Ouija board.
Yeah, so you think she invited this into her life?
Well, no, she
by-
had a story first before, though. So the cave story was the first story. So it was before the Ouija boards.
Maybe she's a chosen one.
But the Ouija boards definitely opened it up. And she
Yeah,
even
you-
said, she was like, nah, we shouldn't do this, and got trapped into
I
it.
remember a couple people in my life have been like, I have a Ouija board, and I was like, for real, like, no,
Yeah, no, I'm good.
I'm 100% good.
Yeah,
You guys play and tell me.
Oh, I'm definitely threatened to fight people over Ouija
like,
boards.
let's not and say we did.
Who does that?
Like, no.
That's why I truly believe that about horror films. Black people will have horror films done in the first couple minutes. Like, I'm not that risk-taking dude. Like, if that's you, good for you. But your boy, oh, we're about to do this. This
Call
is
the Uber.
well, because that's just like, it's like, all right. So think about it. The worst case scenario, it doesn't work, and you wasted your time.
Wait,
It
she
doesn't
says real
work?
quick, I want to amend that story. While watching TV, I watched the books go flying, not falling. Flying.
No, she even did flying.
Yeah.
They didn't just fall off. They flew off.
Like
That's why I said use a string to pull them. Like
So this is real quick. So while we're just I wanna
not
keep
natural.
it- the one that I've spent
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
the most time thinking. I hope she doesn't mind. I'll just read it. Or
Don't
read
release
slash
any names.
clarify, yeah. Read. She's commenting right now saying it was her. It was
Don't tell anyone who it is.
my dad. I hope she's okay with this.
Now they know her
My
name.
dad
Dude.
broke my mom's favorite sugar jar, split it in half, asked if I had any glue. I did not. He said he would pick some up after work. We both left. I came home before him, found the jar put back together, so I put it away thinking he stopped at home during his lunch. He came home about an hour after me and said, "Oh, cool, you got glue," because I forgot. Neither one of us glued that jar back together.
Only a ghost could have done that.
So, just to retell it, now that everyone heard it verbatim, glass jar gets, or a jar, porcelain, ceramic, I don't know what the material is.
I don't know why I
wanna
naturally think of an urn.
what is that? What kind of material is that?
It was a
Those are
witch's
made
I think
out
it's
of?
ceramic. I I naturally thought of like, you know, that Azul tequila, like blue and white urn when that happened. I'm the worst.
So I dropped this.
That's where my mind went. It's so funny. I've read this multiple times, and each time I've read it, I've naturally thought like urn type face.
Me too. And then it was. But nonetheless, they say we're going to get this fixed. We'll come up. All right, we'll go get the materials, etc. We'll handle it later. She comes home. It's put together. She assumes her dad did it. He comes home and thanks her for doing it. I'm paraphrasing. So, this was the one where I was like, "This is an book's fault."
Have you ever seen the joke of like
there's explanations?
Book's fault.
Maybe you ever try and stand
she
books
said they
up?
flew. But have you ever? So this is one. Have you ever heard like the joke about breaking into someone's house and leaving them stuff?
Yeah.
No.
Or not taking
That's a
anything,
Dane
so they're
Cook joke,
super confused. I feel like. That's the only like you had some really crazy dude who broke in and was like, I'm just gonna put this back together. I'm not gonna take anything, and I'm not because if not, I mean, I don't know.
There's intervention of some type, right? I mean, someone did something.
Yeah.
Now, if this person was
living or dead, we don't.
Living or dead is the question. So how do we go about solving this mystery?
Well, and that's what. So she just even said to help the audience. So I'll read this to help the audience. Her mom passed in the house, and both of these stories happened after she passed. So it just had that correlation too, where it was like more motherly attention type. Too.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I did not do a great job of painting the picture. So, and it was one of her mother's objects that broke. So the assumption would be, if no one's taking credit for putting it back together.
Hold on. You don't want to take this too far into the ghost realm. But here's the other thing. Okay. Demons. They also act like ghosts and do stuff like to make you think that there's something good, and it's not. So what if it was that?
If
you don't know.
Feed on you.
They do that stuff to like get into your life.
I definitely believe in demons. I definitely believe in demons.
Man, I agree with Michael here though. Black people dying first in a horror film, terrible.
How come we're not
well, that's only
terrible
nonsense because we all know if something happened, the black people are the first ones gone. As in, not dead. Like, I'm out of here.
Someone said, name one thing you're doing if you see other black people doing. And the number one answer was run. Running. You don't ask no question. It's not black people. It's people. If I see people running, I'm going to count that you know what you're doing. And if you don't, I'm okay with being a sheep when it's in terms of running from something. 100%. If someone was like, haha, this is a joke. We wanted to see if we had 50 people run, would you run?
I'll take that.
Like, no, I'm going to stay here and see if Godzilla's kicking it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm out, bro.
I'm happily pranked.
Nuh-uh.
You know what I'm saying?
Because if some books fall, you're going to be like, oh, let me pick these back up. That's fine.
Bro,
that's another question. Have you ever thought about, I don't know if you guys do this. I am one of these house checkers. I check my stuff. If I feel like something's up, I'm like, let me go
Hell
check.
Yeah, I check my house.
Have you ever thought if you found someone behind your shower curtain, you're just like,
Just
oh, it's funny because I'm never prepared. I'm checking like in my drawers.
You're like,
just nothing
sorry.
on. I'm like, what's up? Oh,
I think you would just be like, bro, like, get the gun.
That's like one of my worst fears, by the way. As someone who's a happy gun owner, it's like getting shot in my house because I couldn't get to my gun quick enough. It's like my worst fear.
How
Like,
embarrassing.
you had
This
a
guy
gun.
trained,
You had a
he
gun.
hell into guns, and he didn't even have the gun when he needed it.
So much
Just
shit today.
useless. Just useless.
No, I do that too. I check every crevice and crevasse and
Crevasse.
nook and
Because I always feel like it's one of those things where you're like checking for your phone. It's always in your lap.
But
and
I
you're
think
like,
if they're
oh,
here's the thing:
oh,
if they're hiding, they're afraid as you are. So it's going to be two Bambis looking at each other, bro. Like Bambi
it's
saw
like
a mirror.
weird cartoon situation where everyone's yelling.
Because if it's a murderer, they're not hiding. Like, you're toasted.
Yeah,
Oh, shit.
absolutely.
So if someone is hiding, they're scared.
They're stealing your
So
stuff
you're
to get away
probably like,
scared.
yo, do you want to leave?
Hey,
That's definitely a spider
what are we going to do
situation.
here?
So I clearly see you don't have anything big enough to make me mad. You out? Sounds good.
Molt. Comments are live today, man.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it when you guys comment, man. It has me hella weak.
Can't like enough of them.
Yeah,
But yeah, I do think about that, bro. And like, you'll see when Benny gets older and you get a house, like, eventually he'll like be barking.
Yeah. Oh, he's
and
on
you'll
that.
be like, do I need to? Is this like I need to grab a gun bark, or is this like he found a squirrel bark?
Wait till
so that's why I got in Akita. Akitas are like, they call them silent predators. They're not huge barkers, but because our apartments have like a ton of leaves in it, people are walking on the paths chomping on leaves, and he's just like, "Rrr, rrr." But Bree and I were talking about this even before I left. He's weirdly getting afraid of just random stuff. Like, he'll see dudes in hoodies and be like, what's up, dude? And then he'll see like a little frail dude and he's like, oh, I'm running, like I'm out of here. And it's
you
just
gotta socialize him.
It's weird. And that's, I mean, I've been it's not all right, he's reverse
racist. Like when they do like police dogs and stuff, like they get like those little ball pits and they'll like fill it with like
well, that's what we're gonna
like,
do. We're gonna take them to a socialization because we've been. I mean, dude, I've been taking them.
I think they do it.
Do they? I was asking Bree if they or if she knew if Warren did it or not. But like, I've been to my mom's. I've been to Ryan's nap. We've been with Benny. Why are you looking like that? Yes?
Yeah.
No? Okay.
You've been to my house, definitely.
With Benny.
With Benny.
But no,
I think that IPA gave me an allergic reaction.
Are you your throat's
how do you
swollen right now?
My mouth. The top
is that
of
why
my mouth,
is that why you're doing the nose thing?
So,
you might really be allergic to them.
What did I give you?
It's probably like subtle.
The back of my throat is like.
Wait, are you allergic to the peanuts? Because this one has extra.
Pears. Is there pears in it?
There's pears in this. Or no, there's peach.
Your own juice.
No,
you've been doing that before.
It was before the.
That makes sense, man. You definitely look like you were having
pears?
The top of my mouth is all rough. The back of my throat itches and my nose itches. Like I ate a pear. I'm allergic to pears.
Are you really?
I don't know if I'm allergic to pears or if I'm allergic to pesticides.
At least you're allergic to a terrible fruit.
Some kind of
pears is like a terrible apple.
You're drunk.
You like pears?
I love pears.
But you're allergic.
Bro, I'll light pears up and then I'll be going like this. Trying to scratch the back of my throat for hours.
Oh, that's the best. Oh,
bro,
man.
My grandma is allergic to mangoes. Like, what's the Will Smith movie, bro? Where
he Hitch.
Yeah.
Like Hitch, and she'll eat a mango, bro, and be lumped. I don't know why. She won't die, but like,
I don't know. Chicken wings, probably. Chicken. If I was allergic to chicken, we gonna have to take them lumps. I'm not gonna lie, but there's not a lot of things I feel like I could do without if I was that allergic. But I will admit that live on this show, I do not pay attention to my body. Like I feel like I probably have allergic reactions to stuff. I'm like, let's move on. I'll be all right. That and like what it does to my stomach, I do not care about. Just like, let's move on. It tastes good. It's good. Not where it hurts my stomach, but I've definitely ate things where, it came out the other end and it probably was that type of food and I keep doing it over and over and I'm just...
You're like, yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah, it's not enough to make me do it, so...
He's allergic to mimosa.
That's why he's drinking that pear juice in there. Let me see if I have any
we were just talking about something good
ghost
before
stories.
we changed. No, after the ghost stories, what were we just talking about?
You
Before
being
my
allergic
reaction.
pears.
No, before that.
I think we were talking about...
Oh no, I do have another topic to go on to next.
Let's go to your topic.
Here, you go to it. I'm gonna rewind the video.
So this is another random thought that I had. People who say that's just the way I am, accept it. How do you feel about those people?
I'm those people.
Are you
guys talk for a second.
What?
Yeah, I say this because I think it's one of those things where it's like, I'm just stubborn or I'm just this. Like, deal with it. Those people crack me up, man, especially when you're, around our age. There's so much time to grow and be better. I think to just say, like, accept, like, especially when you could, like, identify it as negative, right? Like, I'm just a terrible person, accept it. It's just a weird, like, census to have.
More insight for me, I'm like, you guys know I'm not the most punctual person.
Yeah.
So
just
accept
it.
Just accept it.
But why not?
I need to be better, but I can't be better right now.
I think so what we were talking about is when people break into your house. But we'll write that out.
Gotcha.
How was that?
But as far
No,
as
that's what he went back to listen to.
And that was the good
that's
topic?
because we were having a lot of fun talking about what we're gonna do if we find someone in our house.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, we'll save it for later. Someone in our house. But as far as people, like, that's who I am.
Like you. Never mind.
What? No, tell the people.
No, I want
Let
to know
him
how
know.
you are. Just accept it.
I think. Do you think? Do you think people change? Do you think people honestly change?
I think people, dude. Actually, Drew Hibbs, man, I love that dude to death, man.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball coach from high school. In terms of where they tell you like sports are synonymous with life, I mean that dude taught me so much stuff. But he said something to me in high school, like a sophomore, when he knew like I'm gonna have you as a leader when you get to varsity, and kind of was grooming me to be a leader. That was one of the first. Like, people do not change. They can alter things about them, but they don't change, and that sat with me pretty big. So I think if like something like that, right, where you're not, I do think you could change not being punctual. I think. I don't know why, but anytime someone says this, it makes me think that they're a grimy person. It's like, but what, like, are they a grimy? No, I've learned they're not a grimy person, but that's just me. It's just like, really? Like, why not change? If you can, and that's where I more mean it, if you missed that while you're reading, it's like, when you can identify it as a negative and you're saying that's just the way I am, I think that's just obnoxious.
Bro, what was that song that just came out like a year ago? It was by a girl, like, don't let them change you, you're perfect. Damn it. Some garbage feminist nonsense,
you asked me
bro.
to Google this, I can't find it.
I'm out. But
I was going to say, it sounds like the Ed Sheeran Beyonce song, Perfect, which is a good song.
How's it go? No, it's not them. It's some white girl. But like, I was like, this is just retarded.
Taylor Swift. Got it.
Okay, got
Got
it.
it. Taylor Swift. Lady Gaga.
My point, like, yeah, if you can identify something about yourself that is bad, that is a habit, I think you can probably get rid of it.
Absolutely.
But then there's certain things like, let me think. Do you guys know me? What's something that I do?
I know what you're saying. There's certain things like
Hold on.
there's certain things. Bless you.
Thank you.
There's certain things for me that I know I can't fix, so I have to adjust other things. Like, one of my things is losing my keys. It's just it's the weirdest thing. I've learned my short-term memory is terrible. I have a great long memory. I'll tell you, always give me compliments for this. Like, I'll tell you stories to the word from years ago, but something about
I'm really allergic to something.
Like, did I lock my door that I just walked out of 2 minutes ago? And I will double back to check, did I lock it, right? I do that all the time, even at night. Did I lock the front door? So it's weird that that's a thing, and even thinking of that, dude, are you okay? Dude,
no,
maybe
bro.
you're allergic to Amarillo hops. Wait, are you allergic
Government
to candied
warning.
mangoes?
Something in there has triggered me.
But you only had like 2 sips of it.
Dude, no.
Is there ginger in it?
Are you allergic to ginger too?
Raw ginger and pears, bro, are pretty much the only things.
Let's
that do
find
this
out
to me.
what Julian's allergic to.
Dude, that's crazy, man. You are.
I want to know what the song was about. It's like a girl saying, like, don't let them change. Like, God damn.
Is it Bruno Mars?
No, it's a girl.
Just the way you are.
No.
Oh, I know who it is.
Tori Kelly. JoJo.
No, it was like a year ago.
Oh, Kelly Clarkson.
Never mind. You guys are pissing me off.
Liza Minnelli.
I'm about to get pissed. Well,
Brooke Shields.
Are we done with this show yet?
Hannah Montana. Miley Cyrus.
You have more viewers now than you've ever had.
And I
No,
told
we're
you.
only on an hour and 3.
And it's because you're in pain.
All right.
So anyway, yeah, you were about to say something before I started sneezing about.
I have no idea.
You were talking about changing particular things about yourself.
People who say that they're just the way they are.
But I mean, there's certain things like that are.
Oh,
genuine.
and knowing yourself. Sorry.
And if you're not, and I was just talking to a friend about this. I don't know if she wants to get busted out or not, but like if you constantly grow, like you're always going to regret something else that you've done in the past. You know, I'm just like, what are you laughing about?
He's talking about that you are what happened when you wished
Oh,
upon a
you should
star.
know. Looked at the TJ.
Just shut it down.
Michael
Shut
has
this whole
no-
episode down.
Why? Because you're getting disrespected the whole episode.
Oh god.
Someone bought that for me when my child was born. You disrespectful.
I didn't even see that. It looks like a JC's penny, like something when you're going to get pictures, like you see that one, all like this is gonna be okay.
It's
No,
100% from TJ Maxx, which
but
is what pisses me off.
I will. It's from Michael's matter of fact, Michael. No, I think you do have to kind of be smart. If you like, there's some things that I admit I'm just not going to change about myself, and I need to get better, and I want to get better. So I have to kind of do smarter things. I have to do things around that thing to get better. So that thing may not change, but I'll change. So, for instance, going into like my losing keys, I just leave them in pockets all the time. So, which normally I would take them out, put them somewhere, and that place always ended up being in different places because I tried that, make it the same place every time. It didn't happen. So instead, I just leave them in my pockets. If I need to find my keys, I go to whatever pants I wore the day before, and it makes it a lot easier. So sometimes it's like knowing yourself.
But what about things that you maybe you like and other people don't like? Something I could see someone saying about me is like, he takes things too far, or he doesn't know when to quit.
Definitely.
Yeah, but that's not you. Are you ever gonna say a post saying, "I take things too far"? If you don't like it, just accept it. No. Well, that's what we're talking about, right? We're talking about people who say that. You would never say.
I'm taking it to the more interesting level because we all know people who post about themselves are lame asses anyway. But just the idea, and it's like, that is who I am. It's something that brings me, like, I laugh. Sometimes I laugh and everyone else has all gone home. Like, the show's over.
Yeah.
I'm still like, so I would not post it on the internet because I'm not a fucking 16-year-old girl. But if someone's like, I don't like how you always take things to the next level, I'd like, good luck. Like, I don't know what to like. That's how this is going to be. Like,
do you have an EpiPen, by the way?
I might need one. I'm starting to wheeze.
My friend's we're gonna go viral. Jules and Rich dies on
like, hey,
air.
someone call 911. Let me check my Twitter.
As Richard, who knows nothing about CPR, tries to administer it.
I've actually been through CPR class.
Me too.
I will not administer.
I'll do it to myself.
No, you don't do on the mouth anymore.
Oh, it's just
ever since COVID, all you do is
no. That's a new. No, it's been a new thing. Even before my mom retired, yeah, she was like, "That's a new thing. You don't breathe on the mouth anymore."
Wake 'em up with
I was being sarcastic.
I
I mean, because the pumping gets their heart. That's like you're literally doing their heart's job.
I know. Why didn't they teach you to breathe into the nose? For my breathing.
But if there's no oxygen in the blood, you're just pumping around dead
Can
oxygen.
I talk about that too? I thought that was.
Answer my question first.
Yeah.
If there's no oxygen in your blood, what does just pumping it around their body do?
You're talking to someone who's never. I don't know about CPR. Talk to him. He knows about CPR. I don't know.
He said,
what do you want to know, man?
So what I'm saying is that you probably learned in CPR.
Yeah.
And like if you're doing real CPR, like you'll
We
break.
don't got the table for that.
Stand alive. Stand alive.
Is that what they taught you? So they taught us like.
Office?
No, that's like real life.
You learned. You never took CPR.
Yes,
They teach you to do it at that camp.
No, they didn't. But like
So
it was a bit.
they're like you lock your arms out and you push like hard. Like I think if you do CPR right, like you're gonna break their ribs because like you're literally trying to pump their heart. Are you right? Never mind, bro.
Everyone's talking about how you're dying.
I'm reading the comments.
Everyone's talking about how you're about to die on air.
Bro, I'm about to get pissed off.
Really? Because you're having cotton mouth right now? God.
Because
someone is trying to poison me. So this just turned into a whodunit.
Michael said, "Get the car back."
We watched him do it live on air.
Okay, first of all, this is.
Let's rewind it. He's dropping stuff into the drinks.
Oh, wait a second. While I'm doing it, I'm like looking at you like this.
Whatever, Bill Cosby.
This son of a bitch took everything I ever worked for.
But no, so one thing that I did, I thought was kind of interesting though, that I read in that breathing book was that most people who hyperventilate, it's because they don't have enough CO2 which makes them feel like they need to breathe more, but more oxygen doesn't help you get more CO2. It makes you get less. So this is for our viewers, for anyone here. I thought this was super interesting. If someone's having a panic attack, tell them not to breathe. Don't tell them to take deep breaths because they'll still like go to take a breath and then go and do that. So you should tell them to hold their breath, which will up their CO2 levels and then help them not feel like they're at a loss of breath. I thought that was pretty interesting.
That is.
So you might help someone having a panic attack.
So,
what if you? What about the movies? It was like snap out of it. Does that do it? Does it have any medical practice to it?
I mean,
snap out of it.
You could probably pay a scientist to write a medical paper on it. Yeah, man.
Just maybe don't breathe. I think maybe when you slap them, they stop breathing.
No, I don't think it's, hey, don't breathe. It's hold your breath. Like, instead of like take a deep breath, hold your breath for a second and so like calmly.
Okay, listen, follow me along. Breathe in, breathe out, stop. And that's what you would do. I mean, have you ever seen anyone have a panic attack? I guess I have actually. Now that I think about it, I definitely have.
Which kind of makes sense too with the fact that you blow into a bag, right? You're blowing in, breathing your CO2 right back to get your CO2 levels up. I don't know if that's what that's about, but it makes sense when I read the book. You're just breathing out, breathing your own CO2 back in, trying to up your CO2 levels to calm yourself down. So I thought that was interesting. Most people feel like they're like short of breath, so they breathe more, but really that's doing the opposite effect that they want. Yeah, I mean, and really what you want them to even do is, breathe in and out. That's another interesting, the perfect breath is 5.5 seconds inhale, 5.5 seconds exhale, which would actually be 5.5 breaths per minute. This is how crazy life is, which would end up being 5.5 breaths per minute for 5.5 liters of oxygen.
I don't think my lungs have that capacity right now.
Right, maybe not right now. I mean, I could do that right now. I could breathe. I could inhale, exhale for 5.5 seconds. I thought that was interesting. Another interesting thing about it is prayers. The words you say, like I can't name all of them, but it was like major prayers in Buddhism, being a Muslim, like whatever it is, like all these different like main prayers were 5.5 to 6 seconds where you're speaking, 5.5 seconds of no speaking, which is perfect with what the perfect breath is, or what they say the perfect breath is, which I thought was pretty interesting too. I mean, and we talk about that somewhat of like how the universe just lines up that way and how, I mean, it somewhat adds to what we believe.
I got to read this breath book, bro. You've been in love with it.
I do. I love it. I love it. I do love it. And I'll admit, like, growing up especially, I was a huge mouth breather. So just learning about how your facial construct
Did they talk about how, do you remember like in track or probably in basketball, you lean on your knees and like, don't do it, stand up.
Did you see that study that came out though?
Yeah, bro. We all knew it, obviously.
I could feel it doing it. That
bend over. Put my arms up and choke to death. Or I can bend over and
breathe. Great. Yeah, and they're like, no, it's actually better to bend over and breathe, which, yeah, they're idiots. That's like, dude, we've talked about this before.
Track
it irritates my soul about when they were like, okay, you're in elementary. When you get to junior high, you can't turn in homework late, and you have to write in cursive. Then you get or no, that's what it was like. When you're in junior high, you got to write everything in cursive. You get there. No, you get to junior high. You can't turn in homework late when you're in college. And then when you're in high school, when you're in high school, they're like, well, you can't just talk to your professors. And then your professors in college are just like, you're an athlete? Write a paper about your last game. Here's an A. It's ridiculous. Just that little bit of them just telling you stuff that they knew was false. And I don't know, track coaches were probably lied to the same way we were. Because if I coached, I would have told kids the same thing because that's what I was told. Wouldn't have researched it to know.
No, bro, you would. Because I wish I could have told my coach, like, no, you go run a 400 at a 1 minute pace. Then show me how effective breathing looks. His ass would be like, no, we're not cut from that same idiot sheep cloth. Like, put your hands up.
I don't know. I never really thought to argue. That was one of those things I never thought to argue, though. There's plenty of things in my life where I was like, that's dumb.
Did you run? No.
I didn't run track, but just basketball. Yeah, basketball, though. And that, like.
So, I mean, track, though, like, specifically for 2 hours a day, you're running sprints or, like, there's not technique. There's not like practice this or we're going to practice plays. It's like run faster, run faster, run faster. And it was hundreds of times. You already know, Julian, God, put your hands up. It's like, I want to lay on my back and let my chest fill up. Yeah, anyway. I know no one fucking cares about track, so.
You've been holding that this all this time.
You know, I only ran track my freshman year, so for about 17 years, this has been bothering me.
17?
I was 12 when I started my freshman year.
Were you really?
When I graduated, I was 17.
Oh, wait, so was I. That's right. Because I graduated at 17, too. September, October.
Dang, I don't know why I thought like 15 was like freshman year. Then you're 16, sophomore year, 17,
I mean, some people,
then 18.
yeah.
Or if not you would have been 14, 15. But I get what you're saying because in the first year. So technically you were 13.
So
I'll look at it that way. You're 13 freshman year.
Are you done?
14, 15, and then 16 senior year.
So then I was 12. So I was 13.
You're 13. You turned 14. Or when your birthday's in... Oh, no. So you legit turned 13 going into freshman. So you were 12. You were 12 because in freshman year, we started in like August.
Yeah, I don't remember.
So you were 12 for like a month.
Right.
Turned 13. Then same thing. You turned 14.
I think about that because like Nolan is born in March. So he's on the other side. So like
He'll be close to
he'll
me.
be the... So this is read Outliers. This is another great book.
I know, I haven't read that either.
Because kids who are born in January, February, and March are like proven to be the greatest athletes. Do you know why?
Because they're older and more mature.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because in every grade, they're the oldest kids because of the way that the schedule's cut off.
I talked to Dakota about that. So my birthday's in January. So I'm technically like a full year older than Dakota, who's born like December 30th.
Yeah.
And then my birthday's in January. He was like, one more year, I would have killed.
Yeah, so like Nolan, if I keep him in preschool for another year, when he goes into kindergarten, he's already a good size. Like he'll be giant.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you ever went to school. I went to school with one kid like this, whose dad was like a super serious football kid. He didn't let him start first grade till he was like 6 something, not height like.
So I feel like January, and I know you're saying, but I always felt like January was that weird like middle birthday, where it's like I'm kind of more because I knew a bunch of people who were turning 18 in November and even October sometimes, September, and so that by the time I was turning 18, it felt weird because there was people like you who weren't going to turn 18. Israel like turned 18 2 days after graduation. So there was like that type of stuff that made me feel older, but I never really felt that old. We had so many people whose birthdays were like.
I mean, there's a pretty even distribution, but I don't know. I forgot where I was going with that.
Like if you were another year, you would have been kind of old though. So it would have been like.
Well, I always felt like I had something to prove, which made me into like who I was always smaller, so it made me want to try and prove something. But then, like, if you're the reverse,
it's your brain power too.
Well, that's what. Luckily, I didn't really grow and really start growing until I was like 20. So for me, that's what it was too. Like 18, when I had 18, I didn't get no man body. I was still a little scrawny, skinny dude, and then I hit the weights like I was probably actually 19 because I hit the weights regularly. I got tatted, so it just made it look more like I don't know, kind of more fit. We're at a minute or an hour 18, but. So that kind of helped, I would say. But yeah, I always laugh about that. Even in junior high, like a lot of girls were taller than me in junior high. I grew, which I'm 6'3" now. I never had one of those crazy growth spurts. Like I wasn't 5'5" and then ended up being 6 foot. Mine was always just slow and steady. And then even after high school, which I think on our high school roster, I was 6'1", which means I wasn't 6'1". I was probably 6 foot or lower. And I grew even after high school to be 6'3". So I grew probably 3 inches since high school even. And so that to me, I felt like was weird.
So imagine if your dad I'm sorry. I didn't mean to fucking do that.
No, that's all right. I mean, now let's
tell the show about how I don't know my
dad. Imagine if your dad would have showed up.
You guys know each other?
I know it's
Bro, that was a
weird.
slip.
I'm just messing
No,
with
because
you.
this particular dude,
but
like
imagine
his
that.
dad kept it like purposefully was like, this is how I'm gonna
That's
set
smart,
my
though.
kid up.
Yeah, smart.
So like imagine if
I think if
your
you hold
mom
your
or
kid back, it's
someone
weird.
would have said, no, he's gonna stay in preschool till he's 6. Then like your senior year, you'd be 6'3", balling, college. You know, like
Yeah.
Not every time. I mean, I get your.
I'm just saying.
point.
He said he grew 3 inches after
No, I
high
know.
school. Like
Yeah. I mean, a 6 foot point guard to a 6'3" point guard. Definitely. Like, you are a college point guard, so it's easy to recruit you that way for sure.
so. I don't take it that seriously because hopefully Nolan is a scientist or a writer, you know, something other than an athlete. But I do think like, would it be more responsible? Who knows?
I don't think he's that kid.
He's too wild.
He's too smart, dude. He's like not saying that athletes aren't smart, but like he needs like way more creativity. Like he needs to like express himself.
I think he's going to be an artist.
He might, but he might be.
That's
a
what Bree
scientist.
asked me
Like,
about before. Like, how would you feel if your kids didn't want to play sports? I'd be fine.
Yeah, that's
I think
fair.
I explore enough stuff that I honestly, if he did something I don't know about, would be like if this dude just became a like flautist or something. Is that how you pronounce a person who plays the flute?
Yeah.
I think if if he ended up something like
Alcohol
that,
is keeping me alive.
I think that would be awesome. I think something I do because and we've talked about this on
That's
the show.
enough. Now juice it.
I can genuinely get good at a lot of things. Like, I'm not really a master, but I can legit be a jack of all trades for sure. And so I think him getting into something I don't know about yet would be good. Or if he was just something that I'm not. So for instance, I'm like, I can draw, I can paint, but I'm not really an artist. I'm not going to come up with things fresh off the top of my head. So if he just was like super artistic,
That's not true.
painting stuff off the top of his head, would be super dope to me. So I think that type of thing. Or like, I love music. I could listen to music. I can even make decent songs. But like, if he just had like a super good ear, would also be cool to me. But or she or whatever it ended up being, would be awesome. But I don't know. I now that I've matured and grown up, I am more. As much as I would love to teach a boy or girl to play basketball and it'd be fun, I'm kind of more. I would love to have the opposite. I would love to learn stuff because of my kids' interests.
Yes.
You know, would be awesome.
I would say I mean, I'm gonna hit 2 quick things, but like one of the hardest things, at least for me, about being a dad is like, this is not you.
Mm-hmm.
This is a stage, yeah, especially with your kids.
Well, not just that, but
Like,
it's like
you-
you
like,
can't.
this-
Don't put
this-
you on.
I'm me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Nolan is him.
Yeah.
I try and make him be me, but I have to, like, that's a constant reminder, like, he's not you. You had a unique set of circumstances that created the person you are. You're not going to make another one of you.
Exactly.
And you shouldn't want to, really.
I mean, I think I'm
Do
a pretty
you?
Oh
badass
hell
dude.
no.
But and maybe you had great, like, not taking away from what you've been through, but for me, I don't want what it would take to make another me, my kid, to go through that. You know what I'm saying?
No, but you think like,
If they could be me, what I'm at 30 as a 10-year-old, 100%.
It's just, it's hard to explain.
We want them to have the financial stuff that we have now, but we don't want to like.
Because like I want to
Yeah.
teach him work ethic. I want to teach, like you set out to be like, I want to make sure he values intelligence.
Mhm.
But these are things that, he's going to be who he's going to be. So there's just part one, because you kind of touched on like, what is your kid going to be? And it's like, you have no control. I think the key is to just pay attention and be there, and then you'll see what your kid is inclined towards, and you take it from there, kind of. Like, because guess what? That kid who started, he didn't go to college to play football. Like,
Exactly.
it just wasn't who he was. So your job is to just be there, recognize what their talent is, what their interest is. But that segues me into what I've wanted to talk about. How much time do we have? We want to wrap this up.
Whatever,
at 1:30?
no, bro, whatever we want to do. Let's go.
I mean, we still got the same amount of viewers, so we're good.
Which ain't much, but still, we appreciate all you guys who are watching. Have you seen the Queen's Gambit yet?
I have finished the whole thing. Loved it.
I loved it too. I truly, I love that girl.
Well, she's in what is she's in
Anna
like a
Taylor.
she's in like a Emma, right? There's like another Emma show that she's on like
I've
Amazon
seen
Prime,
her
I
on
think.
something else. Yeah,
I've seen her in The Witch.
that's what it was.
I don't know what's that.
We went to theaters and saw that.
Bat flip.
But it got me really thinking, like on a deep-ish level. Like, I don't feel that way about anything. Like, do you have anything, or like that you're truly obsessed with? That
Absolutely. I mean, I've said this on the show. I mean, if you ask that question, if money didn't matter, what would you do? Like, what's your dream? I don't have that. I feel good. It took me probably a year where I was like, you are a bum. You're a bum. You don't know what you like. What do you love? What would you do? What would your job be if money didn't matter? What would your job be? I'm like, I genuinely don't have it. And I felt like a bum, probably for a year. Or not even I felt like a bum. I had to kind of talk myself out of feeling like a bum. I don't know. I don't have that. And basketball used to be it, when you say, what's your first love? For sure. And even when I think of basketball now, I got to the point where I watched basketball and I would want to play it. And now I'm at the point even where I watch it, I want to work out. I want to pull some cones out. I want to do some dribbling drills I'm used to. I want to do some layup drills. I want to work on the craft of basketball. So that kind of goes back to what my, love was. But right now, I'm just genuinely going off of Queen's Gambit of, like, I'm going to go read multiple books on one subject. I don't have that.
I was thinking, what about you? Before I go into my tirade, you have any? What would you say your obsession is? Passion, your goal, your mission, your vision.
I'll answer yours. Cars for sure. I think
cars.
yours are cars. I think yours is shooting.
I think mine would be.
I don't think
cars,
you do enough with what your passion is
and
anymore.
I would go be an actor. Like if
Oh yeah,
I would go
acting.
try for sure. Like I never tried, and that was always my.
Those
dream.
were my.
I would say singing is actually like.
Those would be.
I was just
try
thinking,
it.
and like if
Really,
because there, I mean,
I think
there's
you're that.
passion
And not
and then
only
there's
that,
talent, and
and
she had both.
and not only that, I think that's where I would say teaching people to shoot. And this may be just personal. Maybe you only want to teach people But I remember the first time I ever went shooting with you. I remember looking at you and really being like, "What? Like, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
like this is a." And I've told you this. Like that's probably one of my favorite things in the world is to talk to people about their passions. Not that, but realize it's someone's passion. And so I remember being out there and you telling me what happens when you shoot. I always tell this for people who shoot. One of the best advice I remember you ever giving me is like, pulling a trigger is a lot like holding a baby bird, right? Like you don't want to grab too tight because you're going to kill the bird, but you don't want to have your grip too loose to where the bird flies away. But it wasn't the analogy that instantly clicked. It was your attentiveness to teaching. And that's why I would say, and I don't know, this might be different now where you're even saying like, I don't have that same belief.
I just put Dustin on game not that long. That is one of my, and that brings me, and I appreciate you still remember, that was years ago.
Yeah.
I would say that's one of my great passions was shooting.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, and this is where the theory becomes depressing, is like, the reality of life is a murderer of passion. Like you can't.
Whoa.
There's no money in teaching people how to shoot.
Yeah.
I can't send my kids to private school on that. So instead, I gotta fucking sell loans.
It's just like what?
And I hate it.
But I don't know. But it's like, yeah, you could, but in a perfect world, I guess. Yeah.
This isn't really why they wrote the quote, which I thought was funny because I had this quote, but I'm going to read this quote because it kind of goes with that, even though this isn't what, and you'll understand when I read it, that's not what the quote is designed for, but it is in a way. Talent is universal. Opportunity is not, right? And like your talent and your passion even for shooting and teaching people to shoot is like, I mean, that shows. Like if you were to go out and to teach people, it would show. Like if you were to teach me, I would get better. If you were to teach Ryan, he would get better, guaranteed, right? That's a talent. It would show. But the opportunity to teach us in a way that helps your life or impacts your life is very nil. And that's, I didn't, when I wrote the quote, it was funny when you said that, I really didn't think of it. Because really what it's about is not everyone gets that opportunity, right? Like we don't live in an equal opportunity world. Really, it's there's so many people with talents that most times we don't have the openings for all the talent. So people who have the talent that qualify for the job won't get it because there's too many people with it. And so that's how it was designed. But as you spoke, I thought about that. Like, damn, that's even crazier. Is sometimes talent doesn't matter because the opportunities for you to live your life based on that talent aren't there.
For sure with actors too, like just thinking like how many talented, like I know a lot of people that are like, I think they're really good, but they'll never get a shot just because like what you're saying, like other opportunities or someone has this or something.
I mean, think of the people who do, 500 pilots.
Yeah.
Like you never made it big just because the pilots didn't get picked up.
Exactly.
Like that's really not on you, right? And I use 500, which is way too many, but.
No, I get your point. And I mean, it's an interesting, I've actually spent hours thinking about like, where do these two things meet where like happiness lives? Because me and you would probably both say, maybe even you, like we sold out our dreams for money.
Oh hell yeah.
No question. Like
yeah.
I never thought I would be a mortgage broker. That was that was a simple.
I sold out my dreams for lack of liking school, to be honest. I stopped playing basketball because I did not want to continue going to school for something I didn't really know what I wanted to do. But yes, even after the fact, when I realized, oh no, that's part of it. Yeah, I mean, I've said that on the show multiple times too. I took a year off to make money.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's been on my mind because sometimes I watch. That's a very moving show. It made me reflect on my life, The Queen's Gambit. If you haven't seen it, or the viewers, it just made me really reflect. Like she was the one in a million who has the talent, the passion, the opportunity. Everything lines up.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, here's the thing. I could have been. Let's pretend. Let's pretend that your sport wasn't basketball, it was football.
Mm-hmm. Should have been.
We all know steroids are rampant in high school, college, and the NFL. There's spoiler alert.
Mm-hmm.
They're all on steroids.
Oh shit! Spoiler alert.
So, like, if you're willing to take it to that level, if you're obsessed, you're going to take it there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, then just by definition, you're not obsessed.
You should have used cycling there.
Or cycling.
That's
there's a whole
example,
host of it. So my point is like, she was just willing or predisposed or whatever to do whatever it took.
Well, with that, and sorry to cut you off, I think that's an interesting topic. Do you feel like people who go through struggles like that do better, especially in athletics? Because you would think people who had more to
it goes back to what we were talking about last week. Like there are certain things that like I grew up and I had great parents. They probably are watching. There's no knock on. I love them, but like we grew up in probably like a lower, safely you could say a lower middle class lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had clothes. I'm not sure. We weren't poor. My family, mom, not a knock. But I refuse to be poor. I will save my money. I'll make any sacrifice. Like I will have money in my bank account. No question.
You're taking me into so many topics. I got to remember the topic though.
But that's my driver. Nolan, and this ties back to what we were just saying, like, because I'm not that way, he will probably grow up to be the opposite. Because he will never have to worry about money. So, in a way, yes. Like, I had a great childhood. I'm not knocking anybody. I'm blessed. But so to take it to the next level, like a Mike Tyson type character who grows up in an orphanage or whatever and he's bullied and this and that, it only makes sense that if this drives me in this way 1,000 times, he's got different insecurities that he's putting up. I was worried about being broke. He's worried about people beating the shit out of him, to a
that's how mine was with addiction for sure. It's like I'm gonna be the most anti-addictive person because of my childhood, for sure. That's me and a coworker who's a great friend of mine. So I'm gonna say a friend. I learned that, by the way, from a teammate of mine in the past. Teammate, roommate, I would call him that, and he would be like, "Dude, my friend." All right. So I like to make sure to label people accordingly. So this is a friend of mine. But we had that discussion of, do you feel like are you a product of your environment if you're doing everything to be opposite of your environment?
Yeah.
So do you then also agree that no matter what, you're a product of your environment?
To an extent.
Right? And this is where our disagreement was, because this is where I felt like the term in which people use "you're a product of your environment" is you being something representative of your environment. If you're doing everything to not be representative of your environment, to label that as that, I feel like you can say literally I can make if you are going to take that stance, I personally, who's not a lawyer, but could probably have discussions or arguments very well, I can make an argument for literally everything then being a product of your environment. If you do things in spite of your environment, you're a product of your environment. And I just feel like that's not where that was designed, but it does also make sense logically to say.
I think there's an interesting argument there about determinism and how it actually plays out. Because really the question you're asking is, how or to what extent does free will play into this?
Well, because normally when you think of product of your environment, you think of nurture versus nature.
Right. I mean, do you hear that?
No,
you know, a car driving by?
No, never.
He's talking about his natural wheeze. We
You
actually have two more viewers than we had 10 minutes ago.
So if you are you're a product of your environment, that literally is meaningless.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
but that's not why it was designed,
right?
Though, right.
So, but we both agree on that. It means nothing because you can construe it to be, I'm a product of my environment and I won, or he's a product of his environment and he lost. There's no responsibility.
Yeah.
So the real question is, where does free will come in? Where does ability come in? Where does talent come in, etc.? I think some people are just destined to win and some people are just destined to lose. And where the question comes in is like, and this is where it gets tricky. So take what I just said. Some people are destined to win, some people are destined to lose. Some people who are destined to win believe they're going to lose and thus become losers.
Yeah. That's what's that quote?
I'm good on that's perfect.
It's like something about that though, right? It's like you're either going to
that's why I stopped.
You're either going to win or lose whatever you think is right.
And some people, yeah. So that's where things get tricky, and that's why I get that's probably the number one argument I get in with people is trying to tell them like, if you lose, maybe you are a natural loser, or maybe
you chose to lose.
You gave up on your potential. Like,
did you at least try to win first? I understand.
You have to. And did you go to the Queen's Gambit level of sacrifice and everything to achieve?
Oh, I'm 100% not that.
Because
I have to achieve things without going to that extent. I have accepted that in my life. I'm not an Elon Musk.
But then here's the thing, though. Then you have to accept it. Mm-hmm. And that's what's hard for people. Sure. Like, I look back at my life, I could have taken steroids and been a running back.
Well, I accept
all of these things. I took, and I'm taking a weird, noble spin on it, but take the drugs out of it. I could have dedicated my life to being a running back.
Well, I took that to take it, because I was going to wait, but I'm going to help you even in this sense of like, I accepted that with owning a business. There are some people who they are just not going to work for someone. They're going to own a business. Based on people I know who own business, that is too much work for your boy. Something about 40-hour work weeks work perfectly. And that's someone who's on salary. So I don't even work 40 hours. I'm working more than that at this point, getting texts and calls later. But I just more mean in terms of like I am 100% a working as a cog in a machine. I am fine with that. I've accepted that. Just like I accepted I'm not a New York living dude. I don't move fast enough. I like yards. I don't want to be close, right? It's that acceptance of what you're not that I think is super hard for people. And I'm not that. I'm just not. I'm going to be fine working for people now. And in 5 years, 10 years, I might change that. I mean, literally since us three have been friends, I've been friends with you for a long time, but I remember the first time we met and you're someone who had an office at the time. We met and, I think that was one of the first things we talked about is like, what business would we own? How could we all three be a part of it, right? So I'm on board with it, but I also admit that maybe I'm a like unity ownership guy. I'm someone who owns it with his friends, but I'm not an owner. I'm fine with that. And I'm fine working a 9 to 5. I'm not someone but I'm also not going to harp on people who want ownership. And I read books about ownership and, being smart about the things that you believe in and want to grow with and, failure books or sales books. And I'm reading all these books about things that may not be for me, but I at least want to know the psyche of it. So I think that's one of them. But 140, man, hour 40. I think it's about that time.
Let's tighten it up. We had a great time. Did you have fun? I like this new setup.
Yeah, I kind of like it. Just always having someone there on camera. I like it.
Not me every time. Because
you did good.
I think we should. I think we should have you on it, and then just have like guest bartenders. So you'll still be here, right? We had Irby. Then we'll have people come in, even when they're guests.
If we don't have a guest, I think you should be our.
Oh, so okay,
for sure.
Oh, so I'm your plan B.
Yeah.
I know I'm the plan A.
So I don't produce a fucking thing, but y'all want me to be on the show all of a sudden?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Richard,
we had a 1 episode second season that you crushed it. You crushed it.
How long that episode took to make?
I mean, we were in the dark.
I don't like where this is going.
And Julian stole my mohawk from that show.
On camera, so you can see how I'm.
Let's get a cheers. Do you have a quote?
But yeah, or other quote other than that. Let me see what
before you end it, just go dark on the skulls.
We love you guys. Please, if you have any interest in this, leave a like, leave a comment.
Subscribe, please. It helps.
Trust me, I know it's corny, but it helps us out and it makes us feel better.
Hey, the comment section was fire, so I just want to say I appreciate you guys. You guys crushed the comments today. This was fantastic. Keep it up. We hope to see you guys next week. Let's keep this going.